So, good morning here from Arizona. I'm Seth Nwosu. I'm the better half to my partner in crime, Dr. Cambria Nwosu. We're This is happy launch day because this is the day one of the CJN Network being launched. The episode one will be available at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which today being Friday, February 6, 2026. So we said we wanted to reach out to the folks that's on the platforms that Dr. Cambria has and try to make them aware, to build awareness, and so they'll be in the loop, be in the fold, so they'll know if they don't know, and go on over to the CJNnetwork.net and subscribe so you can catch them live. But this is our early portion of our day. We're trying to get our breakfast, trying to put something on our system, but we wanted to make sure that we do a live to have folks in the loop. So whatever questions you may have, concerns, comments, anything that is on your mind as it relates to the launching of the network and what that consists of, what that looks like, feel free to chime in. We'll try to, address as many things as we can appropriately, or that we can legally do live. That doesn't cause any risk, if you will. But we're here for you. Whatever that conversation goes, that's the vibe. So I'll pass it to Cambria. I'll mute my mic, and you got it.
Hi, good morning, everyone. There's a couple of things. I don't know who's in the room or anything. So again, Seth, just let me know if there's any questions or anything that comes up. Yes, I'm super excited to finally launch my own network. And I think people underestimate how big a deal that is. And I think because I'm in the grind and I'm working and I'm the one doing the editing, I'm the one filming, I'm the one creating the content, you get so in the weeds that you don't step back and actually understand and appreciate what does that mean to own your own content, to own your own intellectual property. And so I don't think it's hit me yet until we launch this evening, but we are, making sure that the content I do bring forth is in a much more fleshed out manner. And then I can get more into details and the weeds of what's been going on, what we've been seeing, how to be a problem solver instead of a complainer. I think that's the biggest thing here. We know there's lots of problems going on in the United States, and a lot of it feels just intangible, and it's something that we just can't um, really grasp and try to find a solution to. But every single thing, first of all, it is overwhelming, and it's overwhelming for me, and I'm the one, trying to give you guys as much information as possible. But there's something we can always do. There's always something we can do instead of being a complainer. I'm more of the action of being a doer. What can we do about it? So I'm just super excited. Like my better half here, he's been super supportive. Um, he is the brainchild of saying, "Why aren't you owning your own stuff?" It's just he's the entrepreneur of the family. He's always been. I've always been in nurse mode where I have to work in a hospital and I have to work for an employer and I have to, do this in this cookie cutter way. And as I've been growing in my entrepreneurship with my husband, it's been very enlightening that yes, it is possible to do things in a non-conventional way and make an impact. So I'm hoping that CJN Network, as it grows and as it develops, will be just that, and where I can actually give quality education, quality tools to assist us all to be better people. And that's the whole point of all this. I don't know if you saw, Seth. Unfortunately, this White House had uh, released images of former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as monkeys, and put it on social media. And it's all over. And I just put a thread out myself. I do wish people do not keep sharing the image. That's what he wants. Like, this is what this president wants. They feed into racism, they feed into hate and bigotry and nonsense. And I, especially if you are white, I'm sure our black content creators know better, and I hope so. But especially if you are white and you're sharing content, please do not continue to perpetuate racist imagery and racist stereotypes. And that's one of them. And that's what they want. They want people to share and talk and things like that about it. We all should be condemning it. We all should be downright upset that, people keep perpetuating racism. It's just blatant racism at the end of the day on social media, whenever he talks. And this is why personally, like, I can't get, regardless of my neutral stance when it comes to healthcare and topics, I cannot get behind Trump supporters. I just can't. I haven't been ever since the first election, but especially now. He keeps showing people who he is every single day, and people in a cult-like fashion keep supporting him, keep supporting his stance. He can't do any wrong. Like, you cannot support someone who is racist and not call yourself racist. You just can't. And so people are not going to like that. I clearly don't care, but I do not perpetuate racism, bigotry, or harm on anyone. So I just wanted to make sure so I don't know if you were aware of that, but that was a pretty big deal this morning when I woke up, and I said, I saw the image, it was extremely disgusting, and in no way, shape, or form. So if people are asking, if I have a stance on it, I just check my stories. If you follow me on Threads, I've already posted a thread comment about it, but I am not going to share the imagery at all. I do very much respect our former presidents, regardless of the, party lines or anything like that, and we don't treat human beings like that. So, but that's been this presidency of treating people less than. That's the whole point of this entire thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's head spinning. It's like it's something every morning, every day, every something that's coming out that that shocks the conscience, or some things you become sanitized to because it's so voluminous. So many things that are coming out in rapid fire mode, and pardon as we interact with the staff here, but to go back to the original point. Um, I did not hear about that until now, and I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting that you would, create, a AI image or anything, to depict the people in a negative light. It's online cyberbullying. It goes to the point of what I was saying in the promo leading up to today about digital gangsters, digital wanksters, people that do things that they ordinarily wouldn't do in real life. You know what I'm saying? So, thank you.
Good.
We're good. Appreciate you. That they wouldn't do ordinarily in real life. They're just doing things that they think they could get away with behind the keyboard, or behind the tablet, or behind the mobile phone, or behind their laptop or desktop, or whatever digital device that they're using. So, you can not like someone, and you can disagree with someone without being, super disgusting and nasty towards that person. So, that's something that I don't entertain and I don't vibe with. And, there is a lane, for folks that are acting with malfeasance. Just like I put out, the post with Cambria, back in September, where somebody had, inboxed her and called her, the N word, if you will. You start documenting those things, and you take note of those things. And be that as it may, you have free speech to speak freely how you want to speak. it doesn't give you the right to speak that in a threatening or harassing manner or otherwise. And that the elements of that varies per jurisdiction, but primarily in every jurisdiction, when you couple, racial epithets or racial violence and all of those things with subsequent things, you could technically build, a criminal complaint against someone for that. So that's what I want people to take away, when interacting with, my wife, Dr. Cambria, or interacting with her on her secondary media or social media or any of her social media pages or on the primary network on CJN Network. Interact with respect. You can disagree with what she's saying. You may not like what she's saying. You may have a disagreement about what she's saying, but you don't have to, say things that are disparaging. You don't have to call her out of her name. You don't have to call her a B. You don't have to call her, any of those things, because that's not necessary. You have to learn at some point that you got to approach people the way you would want to be approached. Some people will take you up on those things and do something to you. They'll hurt you, in real life or in the street. You wouldn't just walk up to somebody and, spit in their face or, call them these things, because that would have immediate ramifications. So don't do it in the digital space, because there's also ramifications for that. For example, we could, look people up online. There's plenty of people that in the CJN tribes, is what I'll call them, her followers. There's plenty of people that have looked up information on, malfeasance persons and, inbox to that information and say, hey, I found this person's name. I found their birthday, their social security number. I found where they work at. I found out where where they live at, where they got property at, and just giving you a whole profile on a person, just based on that. And, those are things that we keep confidential, we keep privileged, because, we're non-attorney practitioners at the end of the day in our primary practice at the Sun Inc. But, people know how to get information about you. So even in the digital space, it could be harmful to you if, folks weren't operating above belt. For example, I haven't disseminated that information that's been disclosed to us, nor has Cambria. I haven't posted it online or posted these people's profiles or said somebody say, hey, go get them and stuff like that, because you just don't do that. That's not a good thing to do. But I also am aware if, you have repeat actors and frequent flyers to these threatening and provocatory behavior, being provocative. There's a lane for that legally to entrap them. So just be aware that anything you say online can and will be held against you, and it becomes evidence that's able to be discovered. So to the point of making imagery about the former president and first lady, stop that. Don't share it. Don't speak it into life. Don't give it oxygen. Think of it like a forest fire. You may flick that cigarette on a road trip or while you're camping, or you may make a mistake and cause a small fire if you're out camping outdoors. But you can eliminate it from becoming a forest fire by nipping it in the bud before it becomes something bigger. And just because somebody puts something out there that is negative, it speaks to them in a negative light, don't necessarily mean that you need to share it or give it oxygen or help it spread. Kill it where it's at. Matter of fact, report it to the platforms. Report it to the platforms as something that's, AI generated, something that is, creating a false narrative, something that paints them in a false light, something. I got you. Something that's defamatory, because that's defamation, if you think about it. So all of those things, report it to your platform, keep reporting it until they take it down. Request for those things to be taken down. So that's my position on it. We'll be going back and forth. I'll let Cambria get some eat time. I'm gonna get me some eat time. I'm gonna mute my mic, but you can, yeah. I'm looking at no questions so far. We just had Brian. from Detroit. He said, hello from Detroit. So good morning to Brian and all of the people that's on the live. We got a few people on the live. We appreciate you all being on the live and tapping in. Feel free to share your commentary and your insights, and we can continue the conversation as we celebrate this happy launch day for the CJN Network. First episode this evening, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at CJNNetwork.net. Don't forget to log on and subscribe so you can, catch the vibe.
So thanks, Steph, for that. I think there's a lot going on today, and our apologies for the very loud music. I don't know why restaurants always have loud, like it's 9 o'clock in the morning, our time, and you got music blasting. Like sometimes, and it be, I don't know, maybe it's because it's me, because I'm a music person. For those who don't know me, I'm really into music. But when it's this, there's a time and place for everything. So if it's this early in the morning, the sun's barely up, have the mellow music and then have the volume down at least 25%. So people can actually hear themselves talk. So it's just, I don't know why. It's like this rambunctious music first thing in the morning. But so between the launch, of course, planning additional content, I have content coming out every day. I'm still going to be on short form media, so I'm still going to do current events of what's going on, especially in healthcare policy, civil rights, on all of my channels. I'm not, just for those who don't know, I'm on almost every platform except for, well, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Threads. So, and I usually cross post, so I post across all platforms for those, because I have different subscribers on each channel. But yeah, every day outside of my normal duty as a wife, as a mom, we have a little one, yeah, he's in school. As a legal nurse consultant, I still have an actual job to do with clients, and then I do social media as well. It's the hours get very short in between. It's like before we know it, it's time to get our little one. And usually for me, the day is over as far as work is concerned. But I've had a couple of questions come to me about the amount I post and things like that. And just for everyone's knowledge, I try my best to schedule my posts out. Now, there's some days where it's like a very hot news cycle. Some days are like that, where the news, it's just one thing after another, and I'm trying to keep up and push out as quickly as possible when it happens, especially stuff that the mainstream media is just not covering. And now mainstream media is just even more condensed. Like they just laid off 400 people from the Washington Post, as an example. Mainstream news, they'll commit, half of their 30-minute segment to whatever the White House is doing, or as opposed to stuff that really matters to people, like people's civil rights being stripped every day, or inflation's going up, people can't afford to live in their own house, stuff like that. So there's some days that are very topic heavy, and it's just because of the news cycle. Then there's others where I can slow down and only do the 2 to 3 posts a day, and I try to schedule those out throughout the day to capture everyone. So if anyone notices my cadence, I do post in the morning, then I post like midday-ish, and then I always post like early evening, not too much late evening. I do early evening because, as everyone knows, that do content creation, once you post, now you also have to engage, and you have to kind of moderate the comments, make sure the comments are staying correct and above board. But then also responding as much as possible. And I try to respond within the first 2 hours of when I post, depending on the performance of the post. And so if the comments get really voluminous, obviously I can't answer every single one, and then I have to move on to the next piece of content. But please know that I am reading every single comment. I am, and then I'm moderating as well. If the comment's inappropriate, I'll delete it. If the comment I did a whole post on the 10 things you can do to get blocked or banned from my channels. If it meets any one of those 10 criteria and it's just morally incomprehensible, then you just get blocked. There's just not a discussion. But I do want to give that one instance, and I'm going to give an example, and I'm not going to name names because I don't do that. So on Facebook in particular, I had a post, and someone had a comment, didn't agree with what I said, and so I reinforced my position, said, we can respectfully disagree, but this is what it is from my perspective, and and this person kind of went off the deep end and got disrespectful. So I deleted the comment. And so then the person re-entered the comment. So I deleted it again. And then a third time. So I gave this person grace more than usual. And so then they posted a third time. So I said, bam. So this is Facebook. I blocked this person. I'm like, you're blocked. So this person then goes to Instagram in my DMs and says, how dare you block me? You can't take it that people are disagreeing with you. And again, you had so much time in your day where you're moderating my comments and you're actively, because again, people know if your comment gets deleted, you don't get a notification that it's been deleted. So this person has to be actively monitoring the comment thread to notice, oh, my comment's been deleted. Let me pull it again. Oh, it's been deleted again. Instead of getting the hint, like having common sense and getting the hint to move on. And then you have the audacity to now kind of harass me on Instagram DM and say, well, how dare you block me and stuff like, okay, I block you there too. So it's like stuff like that. It's like, that's completely unnecessary. It's never that deep. It's never that serious. And to my husband's point earlier in multiple videos, he said, a lot of this stuff you're not going to say in my face. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Yes, I'm a professional, and I try my best to stay professional. I was raised in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. I know how to fight if I have to. I'm just put it there. Like, it's not like I'm not that girl. I think people misunderstand the presence on social media versus if you see me in person and you come out of your face and you say something crazy to me, that I'm not going to clap back at you. Like, I'm not that girl. Like, I will clap back. I don't care. The nursing license, the titles don't mean anything if you're disrespecting me and my family. It's just not. So I think people kind of get that part twisted in social media. And that's what we're not going to have on CJN Network. It is controlled by me. And also, it is a subscription-based channel. Just like multiple people have Patreons and all this. This is my own. It's hosted by our website that we have together under our umbrella with our company. And it is my channel. If you're subscribed to me, that means obviously you want to hear the education and things that we want to say. The subscription is very affordable. It is only $10 a month. And, and again, we do understand that people, again, inflation's real. We completely get that and understand that. And that's why I'm still doing my free content of short form on social media. But also, people do recognize this is full time for me as well, because it takes a lot of time to come up with concepts that make sense, research the information, film it, edit the film, post the film, and when posting, you got to do captions. You have to make sure it makes sense, and then actually moderate comments and feedback and things like that. That is a lot of time. I think people really misunderstand or misinterpret the amount of time it takes to create the videos that I do. And I mean, I think time for anyone, time is money. Time is money. Like, the time I am taking to do this type of work, I'm taking away from other work that I could be doing, and it takes away time for me to take care of my own family and my own self. And I think people do need to recognize that regardless of who you support, time is money. And I think people should be, especially for people that have specific expertise in topics that interest you, they should be compensated for it. I just think that's just only fair. And so that's why if people are asking questions of why it's a subscription based channel, that is the reason. Most channels you see, I mean, everyone's paying for Netflix, everyone's paying for Disney Plus and Hulu, everyone's paying for YouTube TV, and those are all, they're the reason. I mean, nothing's free. You're paying for advertisers pay millions of dollars to make sure you see their product. So why is it an issue when a young black, well, I don't know how young I am anymore, but young black entrepreneur who happens to be a female, who happens to be in healthcare, and cross-sectionally with the law, why is it now a problem for her to have a subscription-based channel? To me, there's no issue with that, and I think it's pretty hypocritical for those who say that's an issue when you'll pay, what is Disney Plus now? $50-$60. It's really high now because it's now converged with Hulu. Like, people are paying astronomical amounts to watch TV. And then I think also, like I said, the channel is for not just clinicians. It's definitely for patients, everyday people. There's certain videos I did just on educating the people about informed consent or about how to battle insurance claims that are astronomically high. And people really want that information. And again, you can't say what you want to say in 1 minute or 2 minutes. Like, social media videos have to stay within a certain time frame for the algorithm to pick it up. So, but something as detailed as like insurance denials, you got to explain that in more than 2 minutes. So this is where CJN Network hopefully will give that platform for. I've gotten also quite a few, and this is from everyone, whether they're a physician, a nurse, a professor. And, I get so many comments about how I educate in a positive light. Like, people actually want to hear what I have to say and that I articulate myself very well. And first of all, thank you so much for the people that do think that and believe that. And I try my best to be as clear as possible with the notion that not everyone went to college, and that's okay. You should still be informed. You don't have to be highly, college educated to advocate for yourself and to advocate for others and to know your rights. And I think that's the whole purpose of why we're doing what we're doing. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, a typical day for us, like today's Friday, but typical day for us, we do get up. Thank you so much. We do get up and, of course, get ready for the day. We have to get our son off to school. Sometimes I cook breakfast at home, but then, today Seth wanted to be outside, and I don't blame him. It's beautiful in Arizona. I know a lot of people are still battling winter. We've already passed winter. Like, we barely had a winter. Temperature now is in the 60s, I believe, but then it'll go up in the 80s today. So as you can see, clear skies. It's absolutely beautiful here. We normally, have our breakfast, and then we start getting into our day, and it varies between Seth and his business, with his clients, me with my businesses and my clients in social media. And then before we know it, it's time to go get our sons. And because we both work from home, we try to get as much like outside air as possible. And then that's usually our day. But now that CJN Network is going live this evening, just making sure that now I'm preparing for my next episode, to be honest, and trying to make sure what cadence makes sense for me. I think like for now, I'm going to start with 2 episodes a month, because if anyone knows long form videos, it takes a while to edit, get it right, make sure the sound is good, and then making sure you post it. So we're gonna see how it goes, but I think 2 episodes a month is okay for now. And then depending on the reception and if it's picking up momentum as far as subscribership and things of that nature, then I'll commit to more episodes. But I think just to start off and not overexert myself with everything else that's going on, I think 2 episodes is appropriate.
Yeah, I think two episodes per month is appropriate to start because, as Cambria has analyzed, it's a lot that goes into the development of curated, professionally developed content. I mean, that this to kind of give some context of how it comes together, the secret sauce, if you will. I mean, it starts with research, right? The things that she posts about, on social media, they start with the research. I mean, she has to do a substantial amount of research of checking, balancing, verifying, authenticating stories to make sure, vetting the stories. And, her primary focus is, as an educator, is to make sure that she's covering stories that mainstream media are not covering. You don't want to do duplicative stories that you can log on to ABC News or CBS or NBC in here. You want to hear the stories that they're not talking. You want to hear the stories that have shock value, that are going on in your own backyard and you don't even know about it. And again, the amount of stories that come through the news wire are so voluminous. Not one person, not one entity can cover all of these things. But she does her best to I guess cherry pick, for lack of a better term, which stories will be of most interest to people that are interested in her. So that in itself is an inundated process because you're not only looking up, one particular story, you're looking up a myriad, a variety of different stories that you can create a schedule that you can shoot the content and edit the content, and you got to do mixing and mastering as I do as a musician and recording artist. You have to do the mixing and mastering, and you got to prepare to go public and come to market in the short form. People got short attention spans, which I do appreciate the people that have stayed on the live consistently this morning. But most folks, only want to get the crux quick. Whatever that main idea is, whatever that summary is, they usually need it within 15, 30 seconds, a minute plus or minus, but nothing usually over a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So to her point, it's hard to condense down, the voluminous amount of information that she's trying to convey in 2 minutes. But I think she does a really excellent job on doing that and condensing it down and being able to articulate it in a manner that you don't have to be a doctorate educated person to understand, and not talking down to folks, talking on level with everybody that they understand it and they appreciate it. And we see it in the comments, we see it in the DMs, we see it in the following, we see it in the subscribers. We see that people not only appreciate what she's bringing to the market, but they appreciate how she articulates it to them. And it comes across in a way that is adjustable, that they can understand, and that they can appreciate, and that they want to see continue. It was so ill, Cambria showed me the other day, somebody sent her a tip. They looked her up on, Venmo, and found her and sent her an actual tip. She said, I know, this is not much, and I know that, but I know you got expenses, and I just want to show my appreciation for what you do, what you bring to the market. And this is just a small token of my appreciation for what you bring to the market. And, in hopes that you will continue to do the good work, to fight the good fight, good trouble, necessary trouble. You understand, as John Lewis said, man, he rest in peace. So those are the things that we hang our hat on. I mean, we're still human beings at the end of the day. We're still people with feelings. We're still people with, responsibilities and obligations. But, when you show, your admiration, for what we're bringing to market, it gives you inspiration to continue, because the people are not supporting what you do, and they're not speaking what I call good vibes, or speaking life into your space. You start dying. You think of it as a plant. A plant goes through photosynthesis. It needs water. It needs air. It needs oxygen. It needs sunlight, and it needs to be fed. So if that plant starts getting cut off from oxygen, it starts getting less water and not as much sun, it starts withering away. So think of that as the human person, not only to us, but people that you interact with on a daily basis. You need to be interacting, putting life into people's spaces, and not speaking death into people's spaces. To that point, we are, educated folks. We're entrepreneurs. We have our own, professional practice licenses. Our primary line of profession is being licensed professionals. Myself as a legal document preparer, a certified paralegal, and a non-attorney representative in administrative proceedings, as well as in my other venture under Bishop Enterprises Publishing LLC as a songwriter, a musician, and a performer. And then Cambria, she has laid out her ethos, but her primary thing is being, a nurse, a registered nurse, licensed, being a DNP, a doctor of nursing practice, as a nurse administrator and healthcare administrator, having a background in telemedicine and doing surgeries, whether it's general surgeries, neurosurgeries, and the like. That's what her background is in. And now, curtailing that into legal nurse consulting work under the Sun Inc. Brand. So we're professionals at the end of the day. It just so happens we're people of color, but to me, our ethnicity is almost kind of secondary to us just being human, first and foremost. We're human beings. But yes, we happen to be of a certain ethnicity. And I think when you are dealing with folks, you have the opportunity to choose whether you're opting in and out based on ethnicity, whether you're opting in and out based on religion, whether you're opting in and out based on gender, whether you're opting in and out for any reason otherwise. You have that choice. But I would implore you to, hold not only entrepreneurs that are young and vivacious, and people that have fervor, that are trying to, scale and grow culture, not only themselves in their practice spaces, but trying to speak life into mankind, man and womankind, no matter your ethnicity. I don't turn people away from Sunny because they're Muslim. I don't turn people away from Sunny just because they're registered with the National Rifle Association. I don't turn them away because they're, of European descent or of Caribbean descent. I don't turn people away because they are poor and without resource. I deal with people from all scales of life. So I think, people should be more open to deal with people no matter where they sit in the food chain, and to treat people as a human first, and not objectify folks based on all of these different variations. So with that being said, Cambria and I are business people. We are entrepreneurs. We understand intellectual property. Again, me having a background in entertainment and publishing, copyrights are essential. And then, now becoming a person that has went to law school and graduated from law school, majoring in intellectual property, trademarking, my artist identity as an artist, trademark my artist name, trademarking my name that I practice in the non-attorney legal services space, my personal name. Now, moving into the patent, now having a provisional patent for an invention for continuing legal education credit software and scaling that into the marketplace. We are people that understand intellectual property, and she has a right to make her intellectual property into a franchise, into a business, for a private franchise. So if she's trying to scale her brand and to segregate it into a network where people can subscribe, I think people should support. You have your choice whether you want to support or not. But if you're for women, if you are for humans, if you are for people that are just decent people, not perfect people, but decent people, people that are of color, people that have taken time and develop and continue to develop themselves every day to be as competent as they possibly can, to learn as much as they possibly can that they can convey to others, you should subscribe. If you are a person that supports small businesses, you should support. If you support women being in business, you should support. If you support people of color being in business, you should support. You should support for people that are God-fearing. You should support for people that advocate for mankind, whether it be for patients, whether it be for legal clients, whatever that looks like. You should be supporting that movement and understanding what it takes to bring things to market, and understand that no different than as she ascribed to, you subscribe to any of the other major platforms and pay a fee to access their content. You think of her network and our network in the lens of it being a competitor to a Disney Plus, or being in competition with Hulu, being in competition with people who have taken their intellectual property and made it exclusively available through a application that you have to subscribe to access, because you're licensing the content through the subscription to get access. So you should, understand that this is how it is. People have costs. We're not here to, make a killing. If we end up making a good living doing it, so be it. But we have costs to bring these things to market, for them to be to come to materialize, to come to fruition. So don't ask silly questions. If you if you have costs, you have costs of rent and utilities and car note and expenses, and you no different than you wouldn't go to an employer for no payment. Don't expect that you can access the network without payment, because that's her compensation. That's how she's able to make this thing materialize and come to fruition.
And then I think lastly, because I know we also do have to move on, and we're trying to also do lives on TikTok, and we just don't have like 10,000 cameras and phones. But I do want to do a live on TikTok later, as well as one on possibly YouTube and Facebook. But also, I just want to kind of close it out saying CJN Network will also not just be videos. I will be posting like blogs and newsletters for people that still like to read. There's still a demographic that actually likes to read current events and opinion takes and things of that nature. So that will also be a part of the subscription. And then also there will be digital products as well for people who need a little bit more information without getting like a full consultation with me about a certain topic. So all of those benefits will be there. And then of course, as a subscriber, will definitely have access to me. Not unsolicited access, obviously, but if there is like a specific question or concern you have, you get priority in reaching out to me personally so I can help you address it. And again, we're emphasizing again, we are consultants, but we do not give out legal advice. We don't give out medical advice. So, but we can at least assist and guide in a certain situation depending on what it is. So, we're hoping that the network is a home to people who truly want to learn, who truly want to advocate for others and themselves, and who truly want to step forward in a more positive light. It's just the news right now is just so heavy and negative, and it just doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. But there will be an end, one way or another. There's going to be an end. We just don't want people to burn out mentally and burn out where they just don't care anymore. And that is the purpose of everything that's been going on. They want you desensitized. And then I'm hopefully here to wake you up and jolt you out of that thing. These are the injustices that are happening, and this is how we're going to correct them together. So, sorry, you good? Oh. Oh, no worries. Yeah, so that's kind of like the whole premise. But again, I'll still be here posting as much as I possibly can on a daily basis. And like I said, I try to stick, I think also it's important to know that you just can't stick to just nursing or just healthcare. Everything's so intertwined. A policy that is directed and engineered by people that are not in healthcare, that are, have no clue how healthcare operates. They're making decisions for everyone. So you have to know the policies behind what's going on and what they actually mean, and then how can we combat them. And a perfect example is this policy that's happening with the Department of Education, changing the loan cap requirements for nurses and other healthcare professionals and other types of public service sectors, which doesn't address the high cost of tuition at schools. So there's an actual public comment section now where you can go to, register.gov, and I have a actual post from yesterday, I believe. Yeah, I've posted multiple times about it already, but there's a post specifically from yesterday that gives you the link on where to post, and anyone can post. You don't have to be a nurse. You could be anyone from the public. You could be a patient, but people have to understand the trickle-down effects of if you now put loan caps for future people that want to come into the profession, but the tuition's still out of control, and you're not addressing the tuition, people are not going to go to school. And then if you don't have people going to school, or even advancing education for that matter, like going for your doctorate or going for your master's, if you want to be a professor or an educator, that can't happen unless you want to be severely in debt with private loans. And so it's very predatory, and it has a cascading effect on the actual livelihood of that profession, whether it's nursing, occupational therapy, physical therapy, whatever. So to say only physicians, and I've had some physicians in comments, specifically on LinkedIn, I've had physicians saying nurses are making this a bigger deal than what it is. Excuse you? It's not affecting you because you're part of the group that's getting the higher loan cap. Instead of attacking nurses, attack the policy. That's what you should be doing. Attack the policy. Why are we capping loans, but yet tuition still six figures for master degrees and doctorate degrees? Why are you disabling or enabling bad behavior where people will just want to get an education? Like that's the part that gets me. Like, we don't need the discourse like that. We need people to come together. And if everyone, physicians included, if everyone put a public comment that's meaningful, not just saying, I oppose this. Why do you oppose this? And read the actual document. Even if you could read just the abstract part of it, because the document itself is 300 pages, so I don't expect people to read the whole thing, but there's an abstract. Like, read the abstract, which is a summary do your own research, and then put a public comment of why it's a bad idea. Why would you put a cap on something and you're not addressing tuition? So, like, stuff like that, people have to understand the why behind the ridiculousness of people that are not qualified to be in office, by the way. None of these people are qualified. They're making decisions that directly affect patient care. They directly affect your livelihood. They directly affect your psyche on how you operate. So they're just making things difficult and dangerous on purpose. And I also think that that's a problem. And so if if the part that I can do is make sure people are aware of the harm so they don't get harmed, then I've done my job. And I'm hoping CJN Network will help reinforce that. So, but I appreciate my Instagram has been very weird since the update. I'm on live right now. I cannot see buttons. I can't see who's in the room. So I'm literally talking to myself right now, but I know Seth has a better view. I can't see comments. So I do appreciate those who stayed on with us. I appreciate the support so much. I see all DMs, even if I can't get to you and answer to you right away. If you can imagine, I get hundreds a day. So I do read them all. I read all the comments. The support and engagement means a lot. And that is what's fueling the need for the network. That means people want to hear what I have to say. I also think people are fed up. People are just tired and they're fed up and they want solutions. And I'm hoping that the network can help you get towards that goal, if anything. I do thank my husband. He's been my partner over 22 years. 22 years. I know we don't look it, right? We look good. Yes, we look good. But yes, we're up there in age. And we're starting to see gray hairs. I got like gray streaks in my hair. Uh, but yeah, I thank God for my partner here for 22 years, and we met in undergraduate. That's how long ago it's been. And this year we'll be married 12 years. So in October, and we've learned to feed off of each other's energy and encourage each other. And it's interesting when I started like really focusing more on social media. I don't think he understood it at first. And he's like, "You're doing a lot." But then once the growth started happening and like certain videos started going viral and I've had millions of views, it I think that's when the light bulb went off and he said, "Yeah, I think this is serious." I was like, "Oh, people are listening to you." Like, of course people are gonna listen to me. People want the truth. So, but yeah, he is my partner. We'll die for each other for sure. He has my back, as you've seen in multiple videos. He'll go toe to toe with anybody. So I'm very supportive. I'm very grateful for that type of support because I know everyone doesn't have that. And interesting enough, me doing social media to this level, I've lost family members as well. Like I've lost family members. There's some people that don't want to see you win. They don't want to see progress. They don't want to see success. And that could be your own family members, people that, you're blood related. And to me, family has a very big and different meaning. I consider my Instagram family, I consider y'all family. Like y'all will go toe to toe. Someone say something crazy in my comments, y'all jump on them like hyenas. I don't have to say anything. I'm like, whoa. Like, and I don't even know y'all. Like, we're still technically strangers. Like, we don't know each other, but we do all share a common thread of we just want goodness. We just want people to do the right thing and be held accountable. Like, people are human, but you do something wrong, you need to be held accountable for it. And that is what's severely lacking in this country. It is not okay to have a president in office that's a pedophile. It's not. I don't care what party you are in. I don't know what world that's okay. And it's not okay to have a government basically not follow the three branches of government and do whatever they want to do and not follow laws. It's just not okay. It's not okay to have healthcare professionals be MAGA. You cannot be a healthcare professional and be a MAGA person. You cannot be racist and bigoted and take care of people unbiased. Like, that's an oxymoron. So there's just certain things that just doesn't make sense right now, and we have to make sense of it so we can fight it. We have to fight through this. And that's whether you stay in the United States or not. Like, so many people are leaving the country. They are actively moving out of this country because they just don't like the way. But that you could still fight the fight, even from out of the country. You still would want the best of people, even when we are in this type of situation right now. So, yeah, so that's me. Like, you're gonna get more unfiltered Cambria on CJN Network. I can say what I want, do what I want. I don't have to worry about algorithms. I don't have to worry about third-party entities taking my content down or getting flagged. Like a video I just did on TikTok a week ago about the Kaiser strike got flagged, saying it violated community guidelines. How me discussing a strike is violating community guidelines? Like, stuff like that, like, no. It's just, I should be able to say what I want. If we have a president that can be racist towards people, then I should be able to say what I want. I should be able to say what I want. And that censorship has just gotten worse now that the main entities are all controlled or in cahoots with the current administration. So that's a problem I have to combat on my own. So yeah, so that's why we're here. I like I said, I think my partner in crime here. He's the brainchild to say, Cambria, yeah, you gotta do this. We're gonna get it done. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. So I'm that type of wife. I will follow my husband's lead, and this is kind of like where we're at. So, but do you have any last words?
Yeah, I just will, continue to say, it's been an honor, it's been a pleasure to, come into your space in undergraduate. Definitely, some encounters can be life changing, and I think me and Cambria, for me, was definitely life changing. I was definitely saying to her on the way here that some of the admiration that I'm seeing with folks sending her stuff online, saying how they feel about her and how other people should support what she does, and how this is becoming like their number one news source to a sense for information, where they can get credible, verified, authentic information. That's how I felt when I first saw her, because we met at a student leadership conference at ACUI at Princeton University. I was on student government at Essex County College in Newark, New Jersey at the time. I was a senator on student government, and she was treasurer on student government at Rutgers Camden campus, and we had a student leadership conference at ACUI at Princeton, and that's how we crossed paths. But luckily it was a chance encounter, but I'm glad that we made that encounter, and she had an opportunity to speak about the topical discussions in the different meetings and rooms and discussions we were having, the education that we had going on there. And I was also enamored by her presentation. So I was just saying, it continues to reverberate, continues to snowball, the same effect that she had on me with taking her presentations way back when in 2002, still reverberates with folks now online in the social media space. So hats off to her. Many thanks to her. Many thanks to the people that see what I see and see it through a different lens or through the same lens. And just making sure that whether it be my wife or anyone else, approach with respect, approach with humanity, and don't perpetuate or share things that are ignorant, that are not founded in science, not founded in fact, not founded in evidence, or not founded in law. Things have a way of trying to change the trajectory or changing the narrative, but we're not going to entertain those type of things. No disparaging behavior, no disparaging comments, nothing that talks down on one to raise up another, but keeping it real to what actually is real. If you've done something out of pocket, you should be held accountable for it. You should acknowledge that you have done that, and then folks can move on. But you can't move on if you don't acknowledge the initial harm. So taking down, against boards about slavery in Philadelphia, that doesn't take away that slavery actually happened. You have to be 10 toes down that happened. And to not acknowledge that is to live in a fallacy. You live in a fallacy. And you cannot continue to perpetuate colonialism and all those things. But if we're going to build a true nation, we have to keep it real. We have to be honest about what the evidence is, and to repair past harms and not create current harms or future harms. With those things, I will let people go, flow, and they can handle their handle for the day. And we'll see you all at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on CJN Network.